Good morning, good evening, and hello everyone. My name is Payal Tandon. I will be your host today in this webinar in which we are going to talk about how is it that you can ace sentence correction. Now I'm going to change the pane over here and it's going to take a couple of seconds for this pane to activate. Yeah, so you should be able to see 90th percentile ability on your screen, okay? So again, in this webinar, we're going to talk about how is it that you can build your skills in sentence correction so that you attain that 90th percentile ability so as to get to your target GMAT score. As I said, my name is Payal Tandon. I'm one of the co-founders of e-GMAT. And in this session, we're going to talk about how to get to that 90th percentile using meaning-based approach. And that's the breakthrough approach that we invented back in 2011. And that approach is responsible for every 3 out of 5 successes that are published on GMAT Club. Currently, we are in the third iteration of that process, each iteration making it possible for more and more students to build their core skills to get to that 90th percentile in sentence correction. Now, let's chat a little bit to get to know each other a little better. I believe that a number of you have already gone through the free trial, and if you haven't already um, uh, done so, I wanted to let you know that we offer about 5 to 10% of our entire course in the free trial so that you can experience the kind of learning that we impart using the e-GMAT platform. Okay. Now, every weekend, we conduct these webinars through which our goal is to really make sure that you are preparing using the right mindset. Very, very important. Do you have the right mindset to ace this test? Are you following the right approach to answer each and every question type that is asked on the test? Okay. So likewise, next week, tomorrow, there's going to be a geometry webinar, and then week after that, on Saturday, next Saturday, Rajat is going to talk about how is it that you can prepare your personalized study plan, and we will talk about that as well. Can you guys hear me clearly? Let me see. Okay, you can hear me clearly. Thank you. For a minute, I thought, yeah, maybe I'm muted or something wrong. Good, thank you. So, Rishikesh, you may want to log back in, and then that should take care of this. Okay. All right. So, let's come back to what we were talking about. Yes, so let's now introduce ourselves. Just talking about which country are you from, which city you're from, and just say hello, because again, for the next 2 hours we are all in it together, and we're going to be discussing quite a few things about sentence correction and GMAT in general. So we have from Bangalore, India, Chile, Germany, again another one from Bangalore, Pune. Okay. Krishna from Mumbai. Okay. Hello everyone, Noida, Lebanon. Cool. Johannesburg. Again, I'm not reading all, just few. Cool. Sounds good. Welcome, everybody. Now, also tell me, since how long have you been preparing for the test? And let me actually ask a poll question for that. Okay, so tell me, so you can select one of these options here. I'm going to shorten the chat pod here. How many of you retakers? How many will take the test the first time? And I know about 50% of this segment is 50% of the attendees here will be taking the test after 45 days. That was based on the poll that you guys answered up front. So I see here, so let me broadcast this. Um, Quite a large segment, about one third of the so one third of all of you have just started your prep. Another 40% are in the middle of your prep, and then quite a few of you are will be taking the test for the first time. And okay, we'll be taking the test for the first time pretty soon. All right, sounds good. Now, next, I'm going to ask you about what is your sentence correction ability. Okay, what is your current ability in sentence correction? And I'm going to get the poll here for quickly. What is your current sentence correction ability. Yeah, here you go. Okay, I'm going to broadcast the results here. So I see some of you are in the, so about a quarter of this class is between 51st and 75th percentile, which means that you really have to cement your process, and after making sure that all the concepts are very clear. And I'll talk a lot about that as well. All right, and then I see that quite a few of you, about 1/5 of the class, does not know how to estimate sentence correction ability. So we are going to talk about how is it that you can estimate your sentence correction ability. In fact, regardless of whether you are an e-GMAT student or not, you will be able to determine your current ability in all the 5 subsections if you go through the Sigma X mock test, because we offer one Sigma X mock test free of charge to everybody. Okay, so when you do that, what you will be able to get is specific abilities for each and every subsection. Okay, and it is, again, because our mocks are built on 5 independent ability engines. You will be able to get not only SC but CR and RC abilities as well. Okay. Luca is saying, I did the first mock to have the personalized plan. Can I redo it only for SC? You don't need to redo, Luca, because if you've already done it, you actually have your SC ability. So all you have to do is understand um, the result screen there, right? And then definitely write to us at support@e-gmat.com so that we can help you out with that. Okay. All right. So next, again, we're going to talk about what is the most important SC skill according to you. So the first thing is that you need to have a very clear idea of what your SC ability is, so that you know what is it that you have to do to get to your target ability. So knowing where you're at is very important to understand what all you need to do to get to your target. Now, once you do that, once you understand that part, next what you have to understand is how is it that what is important for you to do that journey, right? So those things are very, very important. So I'm going to get this poll over here, which I want you all to answer. What's the most important skill? Is it knowing the grammar rules? Because again, SC tests you on grammar stuff, right? Or is it to understand the intended meaning? Or is it to understand the sentence structure? All right. So I'm going to broadcast the results here. So about 60% of the class believes that understanding the intended meaning is the most important skill of sentence correction. And that is really good, because understanding that, knowing that is a very, very critical thing. Okay. Now, the next thing is that it's one thing to know that you understand that intended meaning is the most important thing, but are you taking all the right steps to understand that intended meaning? And that's where my next question is about. That's what my next question is about. So what percentage of SC question solving time? So assume that that for a typical SC question you'll spend 90 seconds, right? Now I want you to think about that. What percentage of time do you spend on reading the original sentence before you take a look at the answer choices, right? This is, again, you're reading the entire original sentence before you even look at the answer choices. Okay, that is the number that I'm looking for here. So, and this is where, and I'm going to end the poll here. Okay. The correct metric over here is you need to spend majority of your time. And when I say majority, what I mean by that is more than 50% of your time on the original sentence. And you can see over here that only 20%, so only 1/5 of the class is right now following that metric. 4/5 of the class is not following that metric. And that is something that I intend to definitely change. If I can change your mindset, your approach towards preparing, towards solving a C question, by simply tweaking the percentage of time that you're spending on the original sentence, I would consider this session to be a success from my standpoint. Okay. And that should count as success for you guys, because now each one of you is equipped with the right mindset to solve an SC question. Okay. Again, I'm not saying that you're spending, you're now taking more than 90 seconds to solve a typical SC question. No, on an average, you're still taking that much time, maybe even less than that, right? But how you are distributing that time while solving that question, that is what you have to change. That distribution needs to change. Is that clear, everybody? And I'm pretty sure that it's going to raise certain doubts in your head. How can I spend, more than 50% of my time on one of the five answer choices? I know those thoughts are happening in your head, and we are going to be talking a lot about that. That's going to be the primary topic of discussion, if you will, because the entire process revolves around this particular aspect. Okay. You guys with me so far? Okay, good. Now, my next question is with regards to what are the resources that you're using today to prepare for SC? Okay, so go ahead and make your selections here. OG, GMAT Club. All right, I'm going to broadcast the result, e-GMAT and GMAT Club. Okay, right now using e-GMAT only, TTP and now e-GMAT, oh, TTP and now GMAT Club. Okay, now so here are the results. 40% are e-GMAT students. Welcome. Then we have quite a bit. One third of the class over here is practicing questions from GMAT Club. Okay. And then, yeah, another one fifth is another prep course. All right. So again, when you're practicing questions, I want to make sure that you are utilizing official questions. It's very good practice to use official questions, but how you use those official questions is very, very important. Okay, so e-GMAT students and everybody who is using official resources, I'm going to share one article with you towards the middle of the session, wherein I want you to go through the practice based learning versus the core skill focused learning. And I want you to make a note of that right now in your notes, that you need to understand what does it mean to prepare just by solving questions versus to prepare utilizing thinking about building the core skills. Okay, preparing for GMAT, I mean, GMAT is a very logical test. It's one of the most beautifully constructed tests. Okay, and preparing for GMAT truly should be an experience that helps you build the core skills, which will be essentially your life skills beyond this point. Okay, and that's what our students tell us. They say that, okay, people who hate sentence correction, after they go through e-GMAT course, they say, yes, you not only helped me get to 90th percentile in sentence correction, but you've really given me those life skills. Now when I read an email from my colleague, when I write an email, when I'm reading an article, in my head I'm visualizing those things, right? So that is the level of understanding that you will get to if you are focused on preparing for SC or for GMAT in general by utilizing the core skills focused approach. Okay, so definitely remind me if I don't share this article with you towards the middle of the session. Okay, all right. Now, since we have quite a few e-GMAT students, I want to make sure that I tell them what is it that they can expect to gain from this session. Okay, it's one thing to have the right kind of material. Okay, but it's that material is going to be helpful for you if you are using that material with the right mindset. Okay, with the right kind of behaviors. So all e-GMAT students and all the other students as well, I want to make sure that you pick on the behaviors that I mentioned throughout this session, and you make sure that you incorporate those behaviors in your learning, in your preparation. Okay, that's one thing. Secondly, as I said, For people who are not e-GMAT students, I want to make sure that you understand what is this core skills focused approach, and because that's what I'm going to be demonstrating throughout this session. And then whatever preparation material you're using right now, think about, are you building your core skills or are you doing more of a rote learning? Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, now this question is specifically for the e-GMAT students. So I'm going to ask you, how much of the course have you actually finished? Or where are you at with regards to your SC course? All right. All right. So there's some of 1/5 of you have not as yet started, then just finished master comprehension. Okay. So if you're done with cementing, then I would suggest not being in this session, because if you have passed medium and hard cementing, then this session is going to be more of a reinforcement of all that you've already learned. Okay, because you have reached, if you've passed cementing. If you have not passed cementing, then definitely stick around in this session and pick on and understand the winning behaviors that I'm talking about, those habits that I'm talking about, so that you can take that feedback and you can implement that in your learning and cementing. Okay, if you are doing the course right now, definitely stick around, because you will learn those winning behaviors, and I want to make sure that you are definitely implementing those behaviors, in those habits, in your learning. Okay, is it good to join e-GMAT from scratch or after developing some foundation skills? From scratch, absolutely. Regardless, you don't have to build your foundation skills elsewhere and then come to e-GMAT. Absolutely not. e-GMAT course is personalized to your level. Okay, if you're starting afresh, we are going to personalize the course for you, so that you get that kind of content, right? If you are already way past building the foundations, then also we are going to personalize the course to use for you, so that you are not wasting your time learning whatever you have already learned. Okay, so that is where the personalized study plan comes into picture. So it's personalized for everybody. Okay, percentile is not going beyond 60% in practice quizzes. Okay, so I don't know what your full name is. Definitely write to our support team at support@e-gmat.com, and get their help. I mean, they are there to help you guys. Our strategy team is there to help you guys diagnose what the problem is. Okay, struggled a lot with medium cementing. Will this session be useful for me? Absolutely, it will be useful. Okay, done with cementing, still not getting the accuracy, definitely this would be useful, because there are certain things which you may not be doing with regards to your process, and we will be touching upon quite a few of those things here. Okay, so definitely stick around. Okay, all right. Okay, now let's talk about what does it take to achieve that 90th percentile. Okay, um, in order to get to that, you have to answer questions with high accuracy, and you have to answer questions quickly, and we need to work on both of those things. And frankly, if you follow the core skills focused approach, you will be able to do both of those things. Okay, so as I'm going through this session, as I'm talking about the core skills, you have to ask yourself, okay, did I develop this core skill, or in my learnings till date, in my preparation till date, was I even aware of that core skill? Okay, so again, I want you to do that self reflection, so that you then know what is it that's missing in your prep, and so that you can make those adjustments. Okay, now certain housekeeping tips. As I said, this is a very highly interactive session. You've already interacted with me via chat, via um, these polls, and I ask lots and lots of questions. So the more you participate, the more you learn. Okay, now if there is a question which you have for me, which I may not take right away, ask those questions in the Q&A pod. Okay, but if I ask you a question, then please put the responses for that question either in the chat or in the post. Okay, but if you have a question for me, put that in the Q&A part so that while you are answering the sentence correction questions, while you're solving those questions, I can take a look at your question here and then give you the response. Okay, now um, the next thing here in this session, because this is an introductory session, we are going to be solving SC questions in untimed manner, right? Uh, but that means that it's not that I'm going to give you 5 minutes to solve the question, right? When about 70% of the class has put in the response, I'm going to give you either a 5 second or a 15 second or a 30-second warning, depending upon how complex the question is. Okay. So, in order for us to do that well, I want you to basically select not solved yet. And I'm going to show that to you. Okay. But before we go into this, I have a very different kind of question, and that is just to understand what is your uh, preference when it comes to studying. Do you prefer to study in the mornings or do you prefer to study in the evenings? Just wanted to get this poll for fun. All right. It's an even split here, almost even split. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I was thinking it's going to be more governed toward more tilted towards evening. So we have quite a few morning people over here all day long. Yeah, that's ideal. Problem solving in morning, study in evening. Okay. So you mean practicing questions in morning and then studying in evening. Okay. All right. Okay. Sounds interesting. Okay. Now I am going to, we are going to get into our first question. But before we do that, tell me, what is the biggest problem that you face in SC today? Falling for a trap answer, time management, grammar rules, okay, timing, not able to understand the meaning, grammar rules, which rule to apply. So, a lot of timing, a lot of trap answers, all options seem right, taking time to find the meaning of the sentence, okay, pronoun agreement. All right. Um, okay, grammar rules. I can't find nonsensical meaning. Okay, going by what seems right to the ear. Yeah, that is never a good thing. Confused between two options. Okay. A lot of what you're talking about are issues that are faced by students who are not following the meaning based approach in the right manner. Okay, and that is kind of evident in the responses that you gave me upfront, wherein you know that intended meaning is very important, but you're not implementing the method the right way, because, and that's evident from the fact that you're spending less than 50% of the time on the original sentence. Okay, so I can understand where you guys are coming from. Okay, and believe me, this session is going to be really impactful for you. It's going to be a huge shift in how you think about the approach towards SC. Okay, so enough of that. Let's get right into implementing it. Let me show you the poll here. Mm, Here is question number one. Okay, I'm going to open the poll and I want everyone to click on still solving. And I can read some, so I can see some really good comments over here. I'll address those in a bit after we solve this first question. So good. Still solving. I have quite a few of you who've already selected that. Really good. Now, as soon as you arrive at your answer, make the selection, because as soon as 70% of the class has put in the answers, I'm going to give you the timer. Okay, because you are timing yourself. Okay, you are timing the entire class. Uh, right. All right. So here's the first question. Go ahead. All right, last 10 seconds. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now and tell me, how was this question? Easy, difficult? In fact, let me, before I ask you for that, I'm going to ask another question with regards to your confidence level. When you made the selection, how confident were you of your response? And this is something which I encourage everyone. This is your first winning behavior or first habit. Whenever you are solving a question, always make a note of what is your confidence level of after once you make the selection. Okay, that's very important, because what's going to happen is as your ability in sc improves, so will your confidence. Okay, so ability will improve, that's going to lead to improvement in your confidence. Ability will improve, that will also lead to the reduction in the time that you are taking to solve the question. Okay, the primary thing over here is the causality over here is ability improvement, and that is going to lead to both the effects. Okay, so I want you to always make a note of what your confidence level is. So that is your habit number one. Okay, and I'm going to ask you about these habits towards the end, so I want you, all of you, to make notes in your scratch pad right now or in your notebook. Okay, all right, so good. So you guys, majority of you were somewhat confident and extremely confident. Ideally, I would want all of you to be, each one of you to be extremely confident, okay? Because that's when you don't have any doubts in your head. That's when you go to the next question, you go with that level of confidence. Yes, I am in control of this test, okay? So very, very important to have that extreme confidence, okay? So now what we're going to do next is look at so let me broadcast the results. This is how you guys have fared in this question. And it's very evident that choices C and E are the close contenders. Okay. But which one is the correct answer? We'll talk about choices A and B first. Okay. So, my question to you is, with regards to this question, is there a comparison in this sentence? When you read the sentence, did you see a comparison? You saw the comparison. Now, where is the comparison? The comparison is the overall slackening is influenced less by than the coming to an end. Now, where is your by after than? The by is missing, right? Less by than also needs to be followed by. Okay. So, those of you who selected choices A and B, so about what, 23%, so right, you guys did not focus on you guys missed this grammatical error. Okay. That's your feedback. In us, always have to, with in sc, again, there are meaning issues, there are grammar issues, right? This was a very, very evident grammatical error, okay, which you guys missed. So make a note of that. Not to less by x than by s. So again, when I say grammatical error, technically so to further qualify this error, it's a parallelism error. Okay, if you have less by, you need to have than by. Okay, so that's the first faltering point. Okay, now, let's come to choices C, D, and E. How many of you were, it's very evident here, but how many of you were doing quite a bit of back and forth between among these choices, C, D, and E? Quite a few of you. Now, think back when you said that, when I asked you what is the problem that you face, and you said that you take long, you don't know, you're stuck amongst between two choices, right? Now, that happens when you have not visualized the meaning of the original sentence. That's that's when you are stuck between two choices. That's an effect, the cause of that effect. And it's always important to do causal analysis for everything in life. Okay, anything that you want to solve, do a causal analysis, right? So Whenever you see yourself stuck between choices or among choices, you always have the very normal, very obvious reason for that is you have not understood the meaning. Now let me tell you what is it that you did not understand here. Okay, so, and when you don't understand the meaning, when you do this back and forth, you end up wasting time. And you did not understand the meaning because you didn't spend as much time on the original sentence. Okay, that again, we are coming the entire circle over here, that you have to spend majority of your time on the original sentence. Okay, so now let's visualize the meaning here. And I have taken away the chat for a bit. The overall slackening of growth and productivity is influenced less by something, what is that something, government regulation, than by coming to an end of a period of rapid growth in agricultural productivity. Now, how many of you felt that this coming to an end is actually a very weirdly written written text? Coming to an end. It's not something that you read in your day-to-day readings, right? It's a very unusual structure. Now, that's another very big mistake that people do. Something that's unusual doesn't mean that it's incorrect. Okay. So, whenever you read something unusual, don't disregard it right away. Get to the bottom of it and understand why has the author used that structure? What is the author actually trying to tell me? Okay, always think about that. Now let's understand, what does coming to an end mean? Now there is this period of rapid growth in agricultural productivity. So for the sake of visualizing what is the mechanism here, let's assume that the rapid growth rate is any growth rate that's more than 5%. Okay, we'll assume that. Okay, now let's track, because you're talking about period, right? Let's track this growth rate across our time x-axis. Okay, so far with me? Yes. Every, everyone with me so far? Yes. Right, so we have defined, for the sake of visualizing this, what we have defined is that any growth rate that's a growth rate that's more than 5% indicates a rapid growth rate. Right, now we are tracking this growth rate on your time axis. Right, now what happens is, around somewhere around point B, or maybe a little bit before point B, this growth rate starts to come down. Maybe it was at 8%, it came down to about 7%, and now it's at 6%, right? So it starts to come down a little bit before point B, okay? And then ultimately, as soon as it gets to point C, right, that's when it is no longer a rapid growth rate, okay? So the coming to an end of the period actually is denoted by this entire period, and which actually starts a little bit before B. Okay, got it? Did you guys get it? So essentially what's happening is, so some of you are not getting it. Why? What happened here? Tell me what's happening. What did you not get here? Essentially, what I'm saying is, if you were to compare choices B and E here, right, by the end of period of rapid growth rate versus by the coming to an end of period of rapid growth rate, those, we are talking about the difference between these two. When you say by the end of this period, then that means you're talking about point C. When you're talking about by the coming to an end of this period, we are talking about this, the starting of the end, right, which is, from point B to see this entire period. Okay, so are these two different meanings, yes or no? Right at point C versus this range, are those two different meanings? You guys can visualize it now, right? That is the difference between choices C and E. By the coming to an end of the period of rapid growth rate, by the end of the period. Okay, that's the difference between these two choices. And if you had visualized the meaning of what does coming to an end mean, then you would not have done back and forth between choices E and C. Then you would have known, oh, E is point C. That's definitely not what the author wants to communicate. And this is the reason why you need to spend majority of your time on the original sentence, because once you get the meaning, then everything is fine. Okay, Sergej, you're saying why not? I guess what you're asking is why is E not correct? Okay, E is not correct because it changes the meaning. Now think about it. Let's say if this were an actual scenario, right? So your manager tells you that okay, we need to take some action as soon as the growth rate starts to come down, right? So which means that in this time axis, you needed to take the action at point B because that's when the period of growth rate is starting to come down. Okay, right? So instead, if you take that action at point C, you have lost that opportunity, right? So again, it's very important to understand what the author is trying to communicate. Okay? Exactly, Sumant. It's talking about a time frame and not a specific point. Absolutely. Okay. So the correct answer is choice C. Okay. Now, Abhinav is asking, so the answer lies in the argument only? Absolutely. The answer is always in the original sentence. Okay. Ryan, what exactly was this question testing? All SC questions test you on, can you understand what the author is saying and can you communicate that using correct English construct? That's all the SC question asks you. Okay. Can you understand? It always starts. Can you understand what the author is saying? And can you then communicate it using correct English constructs? Okay. So here are all the choices, right? So choices A and B, we are already rejected, right? Choice C is the correct answer. Choice D is wrong. And again, not that many people selected choice D. Choice D is wrong because it says that by ending, it's as if somebody is doing the action of ending, right? And that's not what the author is communicating. And obviously, by the end of is wrong. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is how, so what have you understood from this question? Now, this was a difficult question. Okay. This is definitely a difficult question. It's from the official guide. It is a difficult question. Sergej, yes, you have, if the initial statement use this, and again, this is where you have to understand what is SC question actually testing you on. So that was a very good question that somebody asked me, okay, what is this question testing you on? All SC questions test you on the same thing. Okay. Can you understand what the author is communicating, right? And if the author is communicating that, so, and how do you know what the author is communicating? That is the original choice, which is why you have to spend that much more time on the original choice. Okay. Because you have to understand what is the author communicating. Got it? Visualization is the key to understand. Absolutely, Rishikesh. Visualization is the key, and that is the first and that is a very, very important core skill. And I want you guys to make a note of that. That's the core skill. So remember upfront what I said was, as I give you different kinds of learnings in this session, I want you to make a note of those, and then I want you to go back to your study method, to the content that you are using to prepare, to ask yourself, am I building my visualization muscle? Okay, am I spending the effort in doing that? Okay, so that's something which you have to do. Okay. I did not select C because it seemed grammatically weird. And again, grammatically weird does not exist. Okay. You all, unless there is a solid reason, solid grammatical reason for something to be incorrect, do not reject that. Okay. Again, visualize that. A very neat way that I can give you to think about this is, always give author the benefit of the doubt. Okay, always assume that the author is your friend. And who's the author? The author is the one who's written the original sentence. Give author that benefit of the doubt that okay, they want to communicate something, they may have made certain mistakes. My job is to understand everything that the author wants to communicate. Okay, As soon as you start to do that, you will stop rejecting answer choices because you will get to the bottom of what is my friend trying to communicate. Okay. So that's another issue. Grammatically weird sounding option leading to selecting a trap answer. Absolutely. And having created so many questions, I know that's one of the traps. That's one of the big traps that we use. Okay. How to visualize in sentences which belong to domains such as humanities? Can we visualize them all? Yes, you can. And that's where you have to build the muscle. Okay, and I'll talk about visualization. Because of idioms, I'm never sure if it sounds just weird or is wrong. Again, Sergej, you don't have to worry about idioms. Focus on meaning. Forget the word idiom even exists. Okay, just focus on meaning. Think of author as your friend. Okay, I notice that many hard questions has two grammatically correct options, but there is a slight change in meaning which I tend to miss. So Akshay, good that you mentioned that, and that's a wonderful observation. That is very, very true. So for that, what you have to do is focus on the original sentence, visualize the meaning, extract everything from it. As soon as you start to do that, you will not get stuck with the trap answer choice. Okay. All right. So visualization. Okay, that is a very important skill, as I talked about. Okay, now how is it that you can build this muscle? We'll talk about that now. Okay, and I'm going to really take you to a different kind of text. Okay, how many of you do casual reading or fun reading of books, or non academic reading, novels, if you will? Right now, whenever you read something which is fictional, when you're reading that, do you not draw a picture in your head whenever you're reading that, whenever you're reading a piece of fiction? Sometimes you read classics, yeah. Whenever you're reading fiction, do you not visualize the scene? You do, right? And that is the kind of visualization that I want you guys to do when you read non-fiction as well. That's it. That's what you have to do. When and think about it, you already have that muscle. You have that visualization muscle because you do visualize whenever you are reading fiction. All you have to now do is utilize that muscle when you're reading nonfiction. Does that make sense? Yes, no. And again, it's these very little switches that you have to do which are going to make a huge difference. Okay, very small tweaks. Okay, now let's do this exercise. Okay, this is a Black Beauty, which is a classic by Anna Sewell. What I'm going to show you here is an abridged version. Okay, so and again, it's not too complex vocabulary or sentence structure. And again, this I got in. So I got inspired to bring about this because my 8-year-old was actually reading this, and as she read this in front of me, she literally visualized the entire scene, and I was like, that's exactly what we need to do when we are reading nonfiction articles as well. And that's the reason why our course is built the way it is, and I'm going to show that to you. So I want you to read this paragraph real quick, and when you're done reading, click on just write down done. Okay, now did you visualize? Did you see first there was a large gate, then there was a smooth road, then there were big trees on both sides of the road, then there was a house and the gardens, and then a small field with fence with apple orchard, right? You were able to visualize all of that. I wish I were there right now. Right? Now, that's the same thing that you have to now start doing for non-fiction articles, for SC sentences. And as soon as you build this skill, you are going to be CR is going to come very naturally to you, RC is going to come very naturally to you. Okay? That's what you have to do. Does that make sense? Okay? Now, as I said, Our e-GMAT course is built on this fundamental principle that we have to make visualization second nature for each one of our students. Okay, that's the reason why every sentence, whether it's a simple enough sentence like this, arranging rare exotic flowers in a symmetric pattern, Mary made a beautiful bouquet. Very simple sentence. We didn't really have to do all this artistic thing over here to show exotic flowers, to show Mary, to show a beautiful bouquet. The reason why we do this is for each and every sentence in the course is so that you intuitively start to do that on your own as well. e-GMAT students, would you agree? And that's there for each and everything. I mean, the first sentence that you saw, that was in master comprehension, that was in modifiers concept. This one is in another modifiers concept. Kept on the topmost shelf of rack 11, Keats wrote these books, right? We definitely didn't want to show Keats positioned on this rack, right? But the reason why we did that is because we want to make sure that you understand, that you also start to visualize. So we, what we are doing is by showing you these images with the content, by including these images as part of the content, what we are doing is we are um, what do you say, activating those, that visualization muscle. Okay. And when you see that repeatedly for not only simple sentences, but also difficult sentences, right? Over here, timeline was of prime importance here. So, what you see in, as the overall thing of the sentence is that entire timeline, right? So, when you see that over and over again, your visualization muscle starts to get strengthened. And then, when you solve practice questions on your own, you then automatically start to visualize. Okay, so now what I want you to think about is the way you are preparing today. Are you doing enough to build this visualization muscle? And can you answer that question right now? It's a self reflection question. Okay, but I want you to answer that question. Are you building your visualization muscle today? So, for those of you who are not building your visualization muscle, you need to change something in your process. Okay, not enough. Yeah. See, the first step to solving any problem is recognizing the problem, right? And recognizing the cause of the problem. And only then you can understand, okay, this is how I need to fix it. Os, again, if you are scared of time running out, do not worry about it. Time is a consequence. And I want you guys to write that as well. Time to answer questions is a consequence. Okay, so don't worry about timing. Sanika, don't worry about timing at all. Think about it this way. If you are, let's say, if you are um, trying to, let's say, learn guitar, for example, right? Are you going to be, you will take your own time to understand all the strings, to understand the process that it basically is needed to actually create that melody using your guitar. You're not going to think about, oh, I have to do it all together. No, you have to break down each and everything, right? That is what you're doing when you are learning the process for SC questions. So don't worry about timing at all. EG Math students, when is it that you should start worrying about time? Cementing, absolutely. In stage two, absolutely. In stage one, which is where you're building all the foundation, which is where you're learning all the concepts, you should not be worried about time at all. Throw your clock away, throw your watch away. Don't worry about time. Take your own sweet time. Timing is a consequence. Okay. All right. So, visualization core skill. A number of you, majority of you, will need to build visualization core skill. Okay, what's cementing? AB cementing is basically second stage of preparing for any subsection on the GMAT, wherein first stage is wherein you learn the concepts and you learn the process. without worrying about the time. Second stage is wherein you start to solve questions in timed environment. Okay. And first, when you solve first you solve medium difficulty level questions in timed environment, then you solve hard difficulty level questions in timed environment. Okay. Okay, so let's look at some other questions. Chandrasekhar, ma'am, my mind gets stuck if I see complex words like I don't know the meaning. Can you suggest me how to overcome this? Okay, we'll talk about that. Basically, whenever you see some complex words, try to infer the meaning of those words through the context that's there in the sentence. Okay, and mark my words, there you need basic vocabulary, but there is nothing like a separate vocab list that you need to learn. No, nothing like that. That used to exist back for GRE, but not in GMAT. Okay, so you don't really have to memorize any list, but when you're preparing, when you see complex words, try to infer the meaning. Don't get scared. That's one thing. Secondly, after you're done solving those questions, make a note of those words that you got stumped by and memorize those words. Okay, this will be your chance for you to build that vocabulary. Okay, again, as I said, there's no vocab list that you need to memorize, but the questions that you see on the official guide, the questions that you see in the e-GMAT course, those questions have the basic have are built on the words which you should be aware of. Okay, does that make sense? Ayush, I'm able to get good accuracy in cementing, but I'm unable to complete cementing quiz usually. So, Ayush, you do have timing issues here, which means that maybe you should do the cementing quizzes first in relaxed mode, and then you should do in the non-relaxed mode. Now, there are certain tweaks that you may have to do in the way you are approaching questions. Are you filling the error log? Because I think a couple of students have that same question. So you need to fill out the error log and figure out which step of the process are you facing more problems. And definitely write to our support team. Our strategy team will definitely help you get over this hump. Okay. Does SC cementing usually take more time compared to CR and RC, Akshay? It varies from person to person. You know, if CR is your strength, CR and RC are your strengths, then yes, you will go through the process faster for those, but it actually varies from people to people. For some people, SC is a lot more smooth as compared to CR. Okay, all right, guys, I am going to now move on to the next question here. Okay, so we are done over here. Okay, and we talked about this part. And again, you know, the entire so some of you asked me, okay, should we build some foundations, or can we get started with the GMAT course right away? As I said, you know, there's it our course content is super solid. Not only that, the personalization that we have built into our course, that is another pillar that has led to such an amazing success rate of e-GMAT students. Okay, so your personalized study plan, real time feedback that you get from the platform indicating whether you're doing well or not, whether you are incorporating correct habits, super specific improvement plans which we offer to you. Once you get to a score of 680, we then look at, okay, from 680 to 740 or 760, if you have to cross that chasm, because once you get to a certain point, then you need that super duper personalized hyper specific personalized study plans to get you to that 740 760 score. So we offer that as well. Okay, and then, you know, a lot of analytics that are already built into this. Okay, so let's now move to our next question. So one more thing over here, personalized study plan. I want e-GMAT students, have you created your personalized study plan? Yes, no? Yes, good. So e-GMAT students who have not, definitely create one, but I'm really happy to see that everyone has. Okay, so Kevin hasn't, definitely create your personalized study plan. Now, this is not just uh, available for e-GMAT students. If you are not e-GMAT student yet, you can definitely create a personalized study plan by scheduling a call with us. So I want you to click on this first link. Oh, here. Yeah. So I'm going to open this link for people who are not as who haven't who are not e-GMAT students but who want to create a personalized study plan. Okay, unable default study plans don't work. Okay, reason being that it's a one there's no one size fit all approach for GMAT preparation. I'll be very frank here. There are five subsections that you have to prepare for. Okay, you will have strengths in some of these subsections, and we don't want you to waste your time spending effort on those on things that you already know. Okay, our quant course is hyper specific to your abilities, not just at arithmetic and algebra level, but also in arithmetic, in number properties, in let's say divisibility and remainders. Do you need to go through each and every aspect of that module, right? So it's that specific. Likewise, our verbal course is very personalized as well, right? So definitely you have to make sure you need to have a study plan that is personalized to you. Okay, and so you ask a good question here. I want you all to go through this second link which I have opened for all of you, as to why is it that you need a personalized study plan. So you ask that question at a very right time, unable. So after this session, definitely go through this. And then, this is another story that I want you all to read. Okay, so I've opened these links for you. Definitely take a look at these after the session. Okay, now okay, so here is our second question, and I am going to get that poll here. Yeah, so click on still solving. All right, here you go. And with this question, you're going to learn another core skill. All right, last 10 seconds. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. Pretty good. Let me get the confidence question as well over here. Tell me what your confidence level is for this question. Has it changed from what it was? Is it better than what it was for the previous question? Hmm. I see more people who are somewhat and extremely 84%. Okay, good. Very nice. So the accuracy, the correct choice here is choice B. Okay. So very well done as a group. Usually the accuracy of this question is about 30%. Um, right. But this group has done exceptionally well here. So what stumped you in this question? Or what helped increase your confidence for this question? Let me put it that way. Because that reflection is very important. What changed? Now, in terms of your method to solve this, what changed? Started visualizing. Okay. And that's what we're going to do here. The contrast, although helped to eliminate D. Absolutely right, Sergej. Very true. And how did you come across that contrast? Because you thought about, because you focused on understanding the meaning. Did you manage to visualize the contrast? Really good. Example of Shelf and Kate. Okay, good. Very nice. And see, that's, think about it this way. My just by my saying this for about half an hour that you have to visualize, you were able to change your process and right away, and you were able to solve these questions. Now imagine the impact that going through the course is going to have in building that visualization muscle. Okay, that's what you have to think about. Okay, so now let's take a look at, because this is a habit that you have to build. Okay, now, there is something about this sentence, and apologize for all the drawings over here. There's something about this sentence which is different from the previous sentence, and it is the complex sentence structure of this sentence. There's quite a bit of stuff that's going on. Although appearing less appetizing than most of their round and red supermarket cousins, heirloom tomatoes, grown from seeds saved during the previous year, they are often green and striped. Heirlooms are more flavorful and thus in increasing demand. What have I done here? I have restated the entire sentence, right? But in what manner have I reprinted that sentence? Think about it. What have I done here? Because this is your next core skill. Visualization, yes. But for sentences which are long and which have quite a few things happening, you absolutely need to develop this core skill. I've cut the sentence, yes. So I have split the sentence into its sentence structure. Okay, that's what I've done. And that's what somebody was asking me earlier, that do you have to, how is it that you can do this in the exam environment? Okay, you don't need to do this. You don't have to write this whole thing down in the exam environment. You need to build your ability to do this in your head when you're reading the sentence. Whenever you read the sentence in your mind, you should be doing this breakdown, you should be doing the indentation, you should be figuring out what the elements in the list are, what the parallel elements are. All of that needs to happen in your mind whenever you're reading the original sentence. Okay, that is the core skill that you need to build. And that's my question to you, that how many of you are right now actively building that core skill of sentence structure? Because I'm pretty sure everyone is going to agree with the statement that understanding the meaning of this split sentence structure this split sentence is a lot easier, right? Visualizing the meaning of this sentence is a lot easier than visualizing the meaning of the sentence which is written up above, right? So, how is it that you can do that? That is the core skill that you have to build. So, now my question is, how many of you are you actively building sentence structure core skill? That's what my question is. So if you are, really good. If you're not, you need to start doing that. Okay. And I will tell you how to do that. Okay. All right. So, but first, let's solve this question here. Now, oh, sorry. Hmm, okay. Get rid of these. Now, what kind of tomatoes appears less appetizing? From the sentence, let me make sure that you've understood the sentence properly. What kind of tomatoes appears less appetizing? Heirloom tomatoes. Good. Um, what does green and striped or have bumps and bruises imply? What does that mean? Yes, the heirloom tomatoes have this, but what does this imply? When you read this, what sense do you get for heirloom tomatoes? It's ugly. It's explaining the less appetizing part, right? Absolutely. Now, what are green and striped? Heirloom tomatoes. What are more flavorful? What are more flavorful? Heirloom tomatoes are more flavorful. Not the normal red ones, Sumant. Are they less pleasing to consume? No, no, no. It's less pleasing to look at. Okay. But from the flavor standpoint, heirloom tomatoes are more flavorful. And that is what the contrast is. Okay. What is a contrast? I want each one of you to write down the contrast here. And you can write in abridged manner. You don't have to write down the full sentence. What is the contrast? Yes, they are unpleasing yet flavorful. Yes. Less appetizing, still more flavorful. Look less, although it looks bad, it's good in taste. Yes. Good. Very nice. Very nice. Now, what is a comparison? Is there a comparison? Yes, good. Looks and flavor of HT versus normal. Absolutely. So you guys understood the question, the entire sentence very beautifully. Very good. Now let's take a look at how is it that we can solve the question. Now, why is it that choice A is wrong? Because there is no verb for heirloom tomatoes. Now, spotting any grammar, first of all, when after you create the sentence structure, understanding the meaning and visualizing the meaning becomes easier, and also identifying grammatical errors becomes really easy. Over here it's very clear that heirloom tomatoes has no verb here, right? Because you can see heirloom tomatoes is just hung over there without any verb to complete that part of the sentence, right? So sentence structure not only helps you understand the meaning really better, it also helps you identify grammatical errors. Grown is not the verb, Amish, because grown is a verb ed modifier. So if you're asking that question, then definitely go through the concept file on verb ed modifiers, verb ed words, whether they're acting as verbs or modifiers. Okay. All right. Now, step number one is always to visualize the meaning of the sentence whenever you see the original sentence. Step number two is to identify all deterministic errors in the sentence, and that's where the sentence structure really helps you. After that, you look at the answer choices. Now, because you are doing steps one and two, where are you doing steps one and two? On which choice are you doing steps one and two? On the original sentence, right? So you're doing all that analysis on the original sentence. This is why how much time do you need to spend on the original sentence? Majority of the time, right? More than 50% of the time that you're spending on that question needs to be spent on the original sentence. Does that make sense now? Is that more intuitive now than it was upfront? So is that a change that you have to do? We're talking about percent, right? Okay, so that's a change that you're going to do. Okay, so there's no verb for heirloom tomatoes, and you understand all the aspects of the meaning. Now, let's look at the answer choices. Choice B has no error. Choice B is the correct answer. Now, choice C, people who selected choice C, what they did was they didn't observe the error in choice A correctly. Now, tell me what's the difference between choice A and C, between choices A and C? From sentence structure standpoint, both choices are exactly the same, except that appearing versus they appear. Absolutely. Does that so Anibal, you're absolutely right. Now, just by virtue of adding they appear, does that give a verb to heirloom tomatoes? Heirloom tomatoes is still without a verb, right? And for those of you who are not able to, for people who selected choice C, here is what I want you guys to focus on. You have appearing and then you have they appear, right? That's the only construct that has changed between choices A and C, okay? But heirloom tomatoes, if it was wrong in choice A, it is still wrong in choice C. So those of you who selected choice C, do you guys see where you faltered? Right? So what was the mistake that you did? Unable, you made that mistake, right? You selected choice C. Arpit also made that mistake, right? Yeah, so they appear is not does not lend a verb to heirloom tomatoes, right? Heirloom tomatoes is still without a verb. Got it? Good. Now, what's happening with choice D? Let's look at choice D now. Choice D has the error that there is no contrast. Okay, that's why choice D is wrong. Okay, so let's go to choice D here. Grown from seeds saved during the previous year. So this is simply stating all the facts without saying that there is a contrast indeed. And this is where you have to understand that yes, the facts remain the same, but the author wanted to give you the contrast on a platter. The author did not want you to do a lot of effort to infer the contrast, right? But choice D only gives you the facts. It does not tell you that there is a contrast over there. You can infer the contrast, but it doesn't tell you that there is a contrast, and that's why choice D is wrong. So again, you can see how understanding the meaning was the key to rejecting choice D. Okay, got it? Now, choice E. Choice E is also wrong for the same reason that choice A is wrong. The only thing is that choice E has a different sentence structure. Okay. Now, before I go to choice E, let me address the doubt that Amish and MK have. Appear less appetizing than doesn't suggest contrast. MK and Amish, tell me, appear less appetizing than. What is that? Is that a contrast or is that a comparison? Remember, upfront, I asked you what is a comparison, what is a contrast, and which is where you have to keep all the aspects of the meaning with you. So, what was the contrast? The contrast was, so can we restate the contrast here? And you can, or you can go back up over here, right? All of you said that how to identify the contrast structure. Again, that's where you have to you definitely need to go through the course so that you can uh, build this muscle over here. Okay, but the contrast over here is that the heirloom tomatoes don't look good, but they are really attractive, but they're really flavorful. That is what the contrast is. Okay, comparison is between the heirloom tomatoes and the other tomatoes. Okay, That's what the comparison is. Okay, now Thuso is asking why they appear and appearing are the same thing. Again, Thuso, they appear and appearing communicate the same meaning, just with a different structure. Okay, so again, you should go through the course, because in the course we actually help you build all these, we help you see all these constructs so that you are more, you're familiarized with those. Okay. Question about C, just for understanding, if I erase they, the option appears more likely to be right than B. No, nothing like that, Anibal. Again, you have to understand in C, even if you remove um, they, it still is not going to add any verb for heirloom tomatoes. Absolutely. It's still that's where you have to understand what is missing here. Heirloom tomatoes does not have a verb. Okay. So definitely you need to go through the course to build those skills. There's that foundation skills that you definitely need to build, and you will be able to build those skills. Okay. It's good that you're asking those questions. Okay. Good homework to do. Why is E wrong? E is wrong for the same reason as A and C are wrong. The only thing over here is it has a different sentence structure. And again, visualizing the sentence structure is very important. So that's a skill which you definitely need to build here. Okay. Heirloom tomatoes, you can see heirloom tomatoes is the only entity which is just hanging over there. It has no companion over here, right? It lacks that subject lacks the verb. Okay. So you have to, so that's why choice E is wrong. And again, if you have built sentence structure, if you know how to identify the sentence structure, identifying these errors would become a cakewalk. Okay. And again, that's the beauty of spending that much more time on the original sentence, because once you build the sentence structure of the original sentence, building sentence structures of the answer choices becomes a derivative work. Okay, so it's not like you have to think from scratch. You already know the interrelationships between among various parts of the sentence. So now when you look at each and every choice, you just do derivative work over there. Okay. All right. So we have seen, so let me just quickly go back. So I would want you to take a screenshot of it right now. Choice D. Breakdown of option D. I don't have breakdown of option D, but I can do that for you when you're solving choice, when you're solving next question. Okay. So I'll do breakdown of choice D. All right. So next, so what are the two core skills that we have talked about so far? What are the two core skills that you need to build? The first one is, you're talking about the core skills. I'm not going to answer that. Visualization, absolutely. What is the second one? What is the second core skill that you have to build? Absolutely. Creating the sentence structure. Absolutely. Now, how do you build that sentence structure core skill? Okay. Um, Again, as with visualization, sentence structure is a muscle that you have to learn how to extract the sentence structure. Then you have to practice it in a continuous manner, so that your brain is wired to think of a sentence in terms of its sentence structure, right? Which is why each and every SC question on the platform has a sentence structure. Okay, whether that question appears up front in the course, or whether down the line in the course, or whether in cementing quiz solutions, or whether in mock solution, every time you see an SC question, you will see sentence structure. Not only that, you also see sentence structures wherever required when you are doing when you're doing answer choice analysis. We just don't, so we don't just tell you that okay, these two entities are not parallel. We show those entities to you so that you can see it in front of you. So it's all about visualization, it's all about building that muscle. Okay, so again, whatever content you are using right now, you have to ask yourself, am I building this muscle? Okay, am I building the core skill of sentence structure? Okay, ask that question. Okay, the other thing over here is, well, I'm not going to go into this. Just, when you are I see it a number of times that people just spend so much time one thinking about things which in the grand scheme of things don't matter, which is why a question such as this is a difficult question, but it has 4 pages of discussion when I actually took the screenshot, right? And again, the discussion is not along the lines of what is the meaning of the sentence or what's the sentence structure. The discussion is about what's the role of dash, what if I remove this part, would this be correct or not. And again, when you catch yourself asking those kinds of questions, you always have to ask, will I have asked this question if I had seen this sentence in a New York Times article or on Wall Street Journal? That's a very very quick check that you can do whenever you see yourself asking those kinds of questions. Okay, so don't let the fear of missing out lead you to wasting your time on such discussions. Okay, that's what I would guard you against. Okay, which is why again, when I see people practicing questions on GMAT Club, I always warn them, practice those questions, but invest your time in appropriate discussion. Okay, invest your time in building the right kind of core skill. Okay, asking questions such as, is e wrong because there are two consecutive modifiers? What does that even mean? No, nothing like that. Or what's a dependent clause, what's an independent clause? No, it doesn't matter, right? So again, those are things which I want you to make sure that you understand. Okay, all right, so now next, we're going to talk about how is it that you should build sentence structure skill. Now, for this, we have we have a dedicated course, master comprehension course, in which we basically take you through the building blocks of the sentence. We start off with building blocks of the sentence where you see simplest of the sentences like John cooks meals, right? And then we add more information in the sentence to make it from a 3 word sentence into a 12-word sentence. Okay, when we do this, right, what happens is that you get more comfortable with seeing such long sentences because you now feel in control of, okay, I know how long sentences are formed. So now here, what we have done is we've taken a 12-word sentence into a 20-word sentence, right? Now, this is all in simple context, but what you see here is the entire working of the process of creating long sentences. So when you see such long sentences being created in front of you, you start to feel in control of, okay, I know how long sentences are created. It's not magic, it's not voodoo, it is something which is very, very logical. Okay, that is what we do in master comprehension. We first help you understand how a long sentence is formed. That's in building blocks of a sentence module. Then we tell you, with that understanding, how is it that you should be pausing to create that sentence structure. So we call this as strategic pausing method. Okay, wherein we again guide you to through those different connection points and pause points. Okay, and as you understand this process, then we give you sufficient amount of practice at this stage, wherein you're doing, you're not solving any SC question. What you're doing is you've been given long sentences, and then you're creating those sentence structures on your own. Okay, when you do that, you then move on to your learning of sentence structure. Doesn't end with master comprehension. That's just the starting of it. As I said, building a habit, building a muscle needs that constant nourishment. Okay, it's not that one day you have learned and now you are an expert. No, you have to fuel, you have to give it constant fuel so that you continue to build that muscle, right? And that's why each and every application file, each and every practice file, each and every sentence that you see in each and every SC sentence has sentence structure associated with it so that you continue to build that muscle. Okay, does this make sense? Yes, Amish. In the beginning, so in fact, remember what I told you over here? Over here in this module, in master comprehension module, you should be doing it using pen or paper, or just open a Word doc. And that's what I actually talk about in these files. Open a Word doc, write down your sentence, and then just start bulletizing it. Okay. So putting in line breaks wherever you think that there needs to be a break point. Okay, so definitely do that. Okay, and then eventually when you come into the course, the application files, it should have become second nature to you. Okay, but if it is not, just don't shy away from creating that sentence structure. Again, understanding why is it that you're doing that is very important. And which is why, you're building these skills. That's why we say in stage 1, when you're going through the course, forget about time. Okay, because you're learning these new methods, you're building these muscles. At that point in time, your focus should be on building. Okay, when you go into cementing, that's where all of this needs to start to happen in your head. And if it's not happening, that's where maintaining an error log is very important, so that you understand which sub step are you not doing correctly. Okay, so you master sentence structure in master comprehension course, then in the actual SC course, and then you continue to do that in Scholaranium. Okay. Now this is where I said I'm going to share this article with you, or this amazing piece of information with regards to core skills focused approach. We have learned the core skills of visualization. We have learned the core skill of sentence structure. Now, why is it that you need to build these core skills? Why are these core skills important, and how is it that you should be preparing for the test? Why is this approach better than practice focused approach? That is what you're going to learn in this article. And this is how 700 plus scorers build solid foundation. Definitely go through this piece of content over here, because that's going to cement the learnings that you're having in this session. Okay, so this is available to you in the free trial. So as soon as you log into the free trial, you should be able to see that on your menu. Okay, how many of you have seen this? Okay, so if you haven't seen it, definitely see it. Okay, if you've seen it but you don't remember it, go back and see it. Okay, because again, so seen this, how this article over here, or this file over here, how 700 plus scorers build solid foundation. Okay, all right. So again, as I said, one of the key things which I use to tell students to immerse themselves in the original sentence is read the original sentence with the intent to explain that sentence to your friend. Okay, that's how you should do it. Okay, so now next, this is the last question that we're going to do. Now this is one of the most difficult questions, okay, ever. Okay, so I want you to not worry about answering this question correctly, because even if you because here the main focus is on understanding the meaning. Okay, the reason why I don't care about you answering this question correctly is because there's quite a bit of grammar concepts that you need to master. Okay, so, and which you haven't, which you may not have mastered till now, right? So but I want you guys to extract everything from the meaning, okay, from the sentence. So I want more of you to more people to click on still solving here. I only have 18 here. Are you guys getting tired? Or are you just, consuming everything and absorbing everything? How is the session going so far, by the way? Good. Very nice. Very nice. I'm really glad that you guys are finding it insightful. Now, so we have just one more question left, and after that, I just want to go through the exact process which students should utilize to go through the e-GMAT course. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Now, this last question, as I said, it is one of the most difficult questions. So, this last question, it tells you a story. Okay, I want you to understand that story, and I want you to be able to tell me that story. Okay. I don't want you to worry about grammar at all. I don't want you to get into the nitty gritty details. If you can explain the story that this sentence tells you, and I'm going to show that sentence to you, then your job there is done. Okay. All right. So go ahead and start read and solve this question. All right, last few seconds. All right, also enter your confidence level. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Very good. So, somewhat confident, extremely confident number has been increasing. That's good. All right. Um, was there anything weird about this sentence when you read the sentence? What was the mindset with which you went to read the sentence? Identify the subject doing the action, understand the intended meaning before checking the grammar. Good to know the story. Good. Now, when you went with that mindset, were you able to understand the sentence better? And again, this is the self reflection that I want you guys to do. How did that tweak help you? That tweak help you first of all? Good. See, that is the change that I want you guys to implement in the way you approach SC questions. Read the question with the intent to understand the meaning. That small switch that you have to do. After that, once you understand the meaning, then start thinking about grammar. Then start thinking about the correctness of the sentence. It consumes less energy when trying to understand the meaning. Absolutely, Sargej. I'm so glad that you said that. Okay. Which is why, if you implement the meaning based approach the right way, you will be able to answer hard questions correctly, and you'll take less time, and you'll move on to the next question with that increased confidence. Okay. All right. And that's exactly what I said when I started this session. And now you guys have already proven that with just implementing that on 3 sentences. Imagine the kind of impact that it's going to have as you do this repeatedly on not one, not two, not three, not 10, not 20, but on 100, 200 sentences that you're going to go through in the SC course. Okay. All right, so now let's go into the specifics of the sentence. I have read the meanings the meaning specified by quite a few of you over here. There are certain things which you needed, which you guys missed, and I'm going to simply tell that to you right now. Okay. So about 5 million acres in the United States have been invaded by leafy spurs. So everyone got that correct, that there is certain huge amount, and which is where you need to visualize here, right? That 5 million acres, how do you visualize that? Is that a small area, or is that a big area? That's a huge area, right? So you visualize that there is this huge area that has been invaded. When you read the word invaded, that it should give you the sense that it has been taken over by what? By this leafy spurge. Okay. So as you read this first part of the sentence, which is shaded, which is written in black font, you already have visualized that, okay, there's this huge area which has been taken over by this leafy spurge. Okay, taken over by this leafy spurge. Then the blue part, what is the purpose of the blue part here? A herbaceous plant from Eurasia with milky sap. It is describing what? It's describing this leafy spurge, right? So this herbaceous plant from this other place with milky sap. Now, what has this milky sap? This milky sap is this plant, or this leafy spurge, has this milky sap, right? Everyone with me? This herbaceous plant, or this leafy spurge, has this milky sap that gives mouth sores to cattle. Now, what gives mouth sores to cattle? The milky sap gives mouth sores to cattle. Now, because can you say that the leafy spurge gives mouth sores to cattle? That if cattle consumes leafy spurge, it's going to get mouth sores? Yes or no? Okay. Let's think about it again. Close your eyes, think about it. Leafy spurge has milky sap, right? So leafy spurge is a plant that has milky sap in it, right? Or the leaves have the milky sap. Now, when the cattle is coming and the cattle is eating that leafy spurge, it is getting mouth sores. Isn't that right? Because as it's eating the leafy spurge, it's also consuming the milky sap. And that's what is giving the mouth sores, which means that the cattle gets the mouth sores by consuming this leafy spurge, right? So, yes, we can definitely say that the leafy spurge gives mouth sores to cattle. Again, you have to visualize this. What's happening over here? Now, displacing grasses and other cattle food. What is happening here? What is this part telling you? Displacing grasses and other cattle food. What could this part talk about? The plant is displacing grasses. Absolutely. The plant is displacing grasses. That's what it is saying. Okay. Rendering the rangeland worthless. Rendering the rangeland worthless. What is this? No, rendering rangeland worthless. The effect of the invasion. Absolutely. The effect of the invasion. Right? Very good. So the leafy, so if we understand the entire thing now, and I'm going to show you the visualization. The milky sap in the leafy spurge gives mouth sores, right? Cattle consume it. And then what happens next is that the cattle eat leafy spurge and cattle get mouth sores. And that basically leads to, where is, yeah, and that leads to the rangeland becoming worthless. Okay. Now, would the rangeland have become worthless if the leafy spurs did not give mouth sores? Tell me that. No, it would not have. The only reason why the rangeland has become worthless, what does rangeland becoming worthless mean? That the cattle are uneatable for the cows. The cows cannot consume that. The cows cannot feed there, right? That is why that yes, yeah, so that is why the rangeland would not have become worthless if the cows could have fed on this leafy spurge, right? It's only because the cows don't feed on that leafy spurge, that's the reason why that rangeland has become worthless. Okay, got it? Okay, so now we understand the meaning of this sentence. Was it hard to understand the meaning? If you're focusing with that on the sentence with that intent, it's not hard. But if you read the sentence from the standpoint of, oh, what is this verb ing modifier doing? Is it giving the cause? Is it describing? What is it describing? What should milky sap be? So what is milky sap referring to? What is that referring to? If you get in that constant thing about grammar, that's when you lose sight of the meaning. And that's what happens with students. So all you have to do is just switch, just do that minor tweak in your head that I have to read the sentence to understand what the author wants to tell me. That is a mindset that you need to have. And as soon as you have that mindset, you will ace sentence correction. Okay, that is what is going to happen. Okay, so now let's take a look at the correct the entire question here. Choice B is the correct answer. And again, as I said, I didn't expect you guys to answer the question correctly. My expectation from you was for you to extract everything from the meaning. Okay. um, Now, birthday, I did not mean to say that gives gives refers to no, so gives definitely, so here that gives definitely refers to milky sap. There's no second thoughts about it. But I wanted you to understand the implication of that. Okay. Here in this, in choice A, definitely that gives mouth source refers to the milky sap, because it's the milky sap that gives the mouth source, right? But you can extend that to also mean that the leafy spurge gives mouth source to cattle. Okay, so you just have to draw one extra inference, which is what is the is choice B communicating. Okay, so let's look at choice B right now after we talk about why A is wrong. A is wrong because of the because of the grammatical issue with displacing. Okay. First of all, displacing and rendering. These two things are not parallel because they look parallel, but they are not logically parallel. Why? Because displacing is simply giving a characteristic of the leafy spurge, right? That the leafy spurge has displaced grasses, right? Right. But rendering is giving the effect. Okay, so you cannot have a characteristic and the effect in the parallel list. And again, this is where, as you go through the parallelism module, these aspects is going to become are going to become even more clear. Okay, now there's another issue which is with regard to which is with regards to displacing, and that's written over here. Again, that's also the grammar rule that pertains with verb ing modifiers. Okay, now choice B. Choice B is correct here. Okay, effect on what? So rent displacing grasses is displacing is providing you so what's the purpose of displacing? It's simply saying that leafy spurge displaces grasses, right? So it's simply providing you the characteristic of or what does leafy spurge do? Okay, but because leafy spurge displaces grasses, that leads to the rangeland becoming worthless. So rendering is the effect of displacement. That is the reason why these two cannot be logically parallel. Okay, good. I'm glad that you got it. Now let's look at choice B. Why is B correct? Now in B, what's happening is a leafy spurge that gives, in this case, that gives refers to leafy spurge. Okay, and which is why you had to draw that inference that really, whether you say that milky sap gives mouth source or you say that leafy spurge gives mouth source, they are both the same in the context of this sentence, because ultimately the leafy spurge is the end is it is the milky sap that is in the leafy spurge. Okay, so here the sentence structure is such that leafy spurge that gives the mouth source and displaces grasses. So those are the two actions done by the leafy spurge, and that is why choice B is correct. And here, rendering rangeland worthless, that is the output, the effect of these two actions. Okay, which is why I said that if the leafy spurge had simply displaced the grasses, then the rangeland would not have become worthless. The fact that the leafy spurge gives the mouth source to the cows and it has displaced grasses, these are the two things that lead to the rangeland becoming worthless. So it's very logical. Everything over here is very logical. Got it? Now, choice C is wrong. Again, I have explained that over here, and I'll share this PPT with you, so you can definitely look at why choices C, D, and E are wrong. Okay. Now, again, as I said, do not let the fear of missing out bother you. This question has 6 pages of discussion. Again, discussions are not along the right lines. Okay, I want you to talk about sentence structures, I want you to talk about the meaning. I don't want you to worry about those nitty gritty details of grammar. Okay, because that just lets you get entangled, right? Makes you entangled, and that doesn't make sense. That's not building any core skill. Okay, so again, what was our objective? Our objective at the beginning of the session was to help you answer questions with high accuracy. Okay. Now, and to help you answer questions quickly. Okay. So, again, that is for that you have to build these core skills of visualization, of sentence structure. Okay. So, again, very, very important. Okay. Now, one thing which I would want you guys to understand, and I've said this multiple times, timing is a consequence. Okay. If as your ability to solve difficult SC questions improves, your ability, your time taken to solve questions is also going to improve. And you can see this is an actual chart that everyone will have access to as you solve questions in Scholarium. Okay, these are the kinds of charts, that kinds of analytics that are there on your fingertips here, okay, at your disposal. Now it's you who have to extract the right kind of information from them. Okay, so here what you see is that the student improved from 58% accuracy to, what is it, 85%. Let me see here, to 84% accuracy, right? Now, but the time taken to answer these questions actually reduced from 2 minutes to 1 minute and 24 seconds. Okay, so it's not that the student started to time himself. No, the student, as he improved his accuracy, what happened was that improvement happened by making those switches, by making those adjustments in the process. Okay, which is why maintaining error logs is very, very important. Okay, once you build your processes, then maintaining error logs to make sure that you're not losing sight of any of those, that is very, very important. Okay, and that's what students tell us, that as they go through the course, they don't just identify a single error in the original sentence, they basically identify multiple errors, and that really helps them solve the question correctly with that increased confidence. Okay, so that being said, let's now visualize your journey through the e-GMAT course. Okay, that's very important. So, again, these are the three skills that you have to build. I didn't talk about grammar a whole lot because everyone knows that they have to learn certain deterministic set of grammar rules, and which is where I don't want you guys to go overboard with this. Learn only as much as is needed. Okay, that's very important. Okay, so visualization, sentence structure, and building your solid grammar concepts. Okay, so again, master comprehension, we've already talked about it. Then you basically go, yeah, so again, we've already talked about this part. One thing is that when you are learning, when you're building these core skills, as I said earlier, these are life skills that you're building. So I want you guys to not only think about visualization, not only think about sentence structure when you are going through the course during your GMAT study session, but also when you are reading New York Times articles, when you're reading Wall Street Journal articles, when you're reading a case study, for example, or when you're reading an email, which is a densely written email, right? So I want you to think about these things. I want you to incorporate this throughout your day, because that's when this core skill will translate into your life skill. Okay, and that's life skill for good. Okay, so that's very, very important. And as I said, do not time yourself. That's a recipe for disaster. If you start to time yourself when you're learning something new, that's clear recipe for disaster. Okay, then you again make sure that you are spending the effort doing this consolidated effort in this module 5. Okay, then you go through the SC course. Okay, then you go through the SC course, again learn the grammar concepts that you need. Do not go overboard here, very, very important. Okay, now remember, I talked about various personalization tools. You, as you go through every 15 minutes on the platform, you get personalized feedback. Okay, I want you to take that very seriously. Okay, for example, here the student scored 67% in this file, verb sequencing practice quiz. So what is the next action item that this student needs to do? Tell me that. The student sees the score of 67%. What is the next thing that this student should do? And right now, we're talking about solid habits that you need to have. You go through this practice quiz again. Absolutely. Not necessarily the entire module, but first you should go through this practice quiz again, go through the solutions of this practice quiz and identify where all you made the mistakes. Okay. So that you take those learnings into your next concept file. That's very important, into your next practice quiz, or whatever your next entity is, because every content item over here is placed, has a designated place for a particular reason. Okay, there is a reason why verb sequencing practice quiz is before verb tense concept practice quiz, right? So if the student does not revise this here, then that is going to be a problem, because then those gaps and concepts are going to continue further and in fact multiply. Now, because this skill is so, because this habit is so important, that's the reason why in our technology platform we have actually built in this feature over here, which indicates how much time did you actually spend in reviewing, and when is it that you actually did the review, right? So over here, you see time elapsed before review, right after the quiz ended. So that is a very good habit. Okay. So that those are the things which are important for you, things which are truly winning behaviors, and things that we have understood by virtue of our experiences with thousands and thousands of students. Those are the aspects that are built into the technology platform that you see in the course. Okay, because those habits are what we want to make sure that you inculcate. Okay, make sense, everyone? All right. Now, next thing over here is that I want you to be sure to look at the timing stats. Okay, if you took 2 minutes and 21 seconds to solve this question, okay, but the median time is 1 minute and 26 seconds, then there is something not quite right that you did. Okay, it's not that for every SC question you should be taking a minute and a half. No, there are certain questions for which you need to take longer time. Well, this one is not that question. So whenever you see such stats, and these analytics are available to you. Okay, for each and every question that you see. Now, whenever you see such stats, I want you to do a much more deep analysis of the solution to understand why is it that you took longer to solve this question. Because you not only have your data, you also have the data of the entire cohort. Okay, that's very important, that's very valuable. Okay, now let's say if this were reversed, if you took 1 minute 26 seconds, but the median time was 2 minutes 21 seconds, and you got this question wrong, then also that's a problem, because you got this question wrong. Why? Because you didn't spend as much time. So these are the key analytics that you have to make sure that you imbibe appropriately, and you learn from them so that you incorporate that feedback in your preparation. Okay, now another very important habit, don't ignore questions where you took longer. A lot of students don't worry don't a number of students only review questions that they have gotten wrong. For example, over here, this is the question that the student got wrong. So the student reviewed the questions, as you can see, with the review time. But this question, the question for which he spent 3 minutes, there was no review done, and that's not good. Okay, so again, if you are answering question correctly but you're taking longer than the median time, and I know that the median time for this one was 2 minutes, right? So but this student took 3 minutes, answered it correctly, but why did he take that long? Okay, so doing all that analysis right at that time, when you have done the questions, that's very important. Don't leave it for later. Okay, now after you go through the course, you need to understand the cementing process before you head out to stage 2. Okay, for this, go through the stage 2 cementing module in your course multiple times. If you spend about 2 hours on this module, believe me, you're going to end up saving extreme at least 10 hours from your preparation time. And when I say if you spend 2 hours here, what I mean by that is you need to imbibe everything that we talk about over here. Okay, most critical module, to make sure that you bring to fruition all the hard work that you've done as you've gone through the course. Okay, so again, at the end of the course, right, you should know all your grammar concepts, you should have mastered visualization, your timing should be in place. That's when you go into the cementing module over there, cementing stage, wherein now you get to that 90th percentile. Okay, what you're doing over there is you're basically fine tuning, identifying some specific weaknesses, which may be, let's say you get stumped on modifier questions which have verb ing related uh, structures, or you get stumped wherever the context is more humanities context than something else. So as you build your error logs, you will be able to identify the specific weakness, and then you will be able to take custom quizzes in Scholaranium so that you can get over those weaknesses and you can track your improvement. So again, these are all the tools that you have, everything that you have in Scholaranium here. Okay, so e-GMAT students, if you don't know how to utilize any of these tools, please write to the strategy department. They are on standby to answer any questions that you have and to give you that specific guidance that you need at this stage. Okay, even if you just want to reach out to them to get that next level of motivation, definitely do that. They are there to help you. Okay. um I think, yeah, that's again, this is along the lines of what all things we have talked about. There's timing influence, there's luck factors, there's rush through factors. It's not just about, answering the question correctly or incorrectly. It's about, was there a luck factor involved? Did you get the question right when you were not supposed to? And all of that is because of the AI that has been built into it. Okay, so again, those are things that you get all that feedback using through the expert AI. Okay, so yeah, so if you're not familiar with any of these analytics, just write to us so that we can help you out there. Okay. um so again, you can see how, all of these analytics, it's a no brainer with all this kind of personalization. It's definitely not anything unusual, because you have this level of personalization. 60% of all 700 plus scores reported on GMAT Club are by e-GMAT students. And this is, when you compare this stat, there's so many other courses that are on GMAT Club, yet e-GMAT accounts for 60% of all of these verified scores. Okay, talk about five-star reviews. Again, this is a little bit of a dated chart, but the pie is actually much bigger right now for us, right? So yeah, so talk about five-star reviews, it's still the same stat. Okay, so again, check out the free trial, and you have not only SC but CR as well, RC also, and a lot of quant content as well. So please share the article you mentioned at the beginning of the course. So that was the core skill focused article, which is part of your free trial. So if you log into the free trial, whatever you see on the right hand side, that is the article that I had talked about, DGP. Okay. At what time during the preparation should one start to use Sigma X Mocks? Sigma X Mocks is part of stage 3. So after you do cementing, that's when, for test readiness, that's when you should be taking Sigma X Mocks. But don't take Sigma X mock without doing thorough test readiness. So reach out to the strategy team so that you can get the detailed test readiness plans. Okay. All right. What else? When should we start timing ourselves? Cementing. That's when we start timing you. So you don't have to do anything. We will start timing you. Okay. All right. So here's another chat box here. Um, okay. So let me see, have I shared everything over here that I needed to? You can download the PDF. I would definitely want to hear, what is it, how is it that you like the session, what is it that you've learned from the session. Okay, that's very important. So definitely put the rating. um, Connect with me on LinkedIn. And there's this SC diagnostic, I definitely want you to take that, because you're going to get some more key insights into your current level of expertise in SC. Okay. Then, yeah, I think, yeah, that's it. So it was really wonderful talking to you today. And let me see, I see some questions here. Yeah, Max, I see you sent me a pretty long question. Max, would you mind sending this question to our support team? Right, so I'm going to send support at e-gmat.com. Let me just see as such. Should I prepare for GMAT focus test or the old version of GMAT test? Okay, that's an interesting question. I'll talk about that. Max, first, let me respond to your question. I took my first practice mock after doing just one diagnostic and received 760. Okay, that's amazing. To get a perfect 800, or should I simply, I would say perfect 800. So you already are at 760. That's good, really good. I think you should just take the test. You should do test readiness. So again, reach out to our support team. It's important to to ensure that you can consistently score this. Okay, so reach out to our support team. They will create a hyper specific study plan for you. They'll review your mocks and make sure that they identify any weakness that you may have, because what you have to do is you have to maximize your performance. Okay, so for that, it's very important to identify any and all weak areas, right? So definitely do that. And again, you don't have to learn a new method. Absolutely not. If the method that you're using is working out for you, then we are not going to push you into learning anything new, because whatever method you have, that's already working wonders. And that's the reason why I say that the study plans that we create, that's personalized for you, right? So if the method that you're working is already yielding results, then all we have to do is identify any and all weak areas that exist, okay, so that we brush up on everything, right? So definitely do that. Reach out to our support team. Katya, should you prepare for GMAT focus or the old version? Depends when is it that you are applying. If you're applying, so which admission round are you applying to? That's the first question that you have to answer. If you're applying this October, then you'll have to take the old version. If you're applying, so essentially, if you're applying in round one, you should take the old version. If you're applying in round two, then you can take either of the two versions. Okay. But round one, definitely the old version. Okay. Anything else? Let me see. Any other questions? How do I get to know about your webinar? Is there a website for all the notifications on web? Yes, you basically on our homepage, you'll see the the webinars that happen, that are scheduled within a week, right? So you should be able to see that. Okay. Will you send today's PDF? Yes, absolutely. And you can actually download the PDF from here as well. The next one, okay. Does a plan exist on e-GMAT for the GMAT focus? Yes, it does. Okay. Now, what does GMAT focus have? GMAT focus, MK is also asking the same question. First of all, GMAT focus has no geometry, okay, and no sentence correction, right? So sentence correction goes away, geometry goes away. What it has is integrated reasoning becomes the part of the score out of 805 now, right? Now, e-GMAT is the only company that has that has IR course, which is already the most comprehensive course that exists in the market. Our IR course, the graphic interpretation, table analysis, which by the way forms about 45% of your data insights IR portion, that two-part analysis, we have more questions than the official content has. Okay, so we already have an offering which is more comprehensive than what exists today. Over and above that, we are actually already creating more content so that you guys can basically get benefit from that. We are already creating mocks incorporating all these new question types in the mocks, because now mocks need to have DI questions, data insights questions. So yes, if you purchase the course today, and so whatever new content we provide, that is, you're going to get that content free of charge, right? If you purchase the course today, so your course is going to be upgraded to the new GMAT focus format whenever as soon as we release that content, so you don't have to worry about purchasing anything new. Okay, because frankly, we already have the IR course, we already have CR, RC, Quant, everything exists. We just have to move things around a little bit, so that and get you more practice content, include DI questions into Scholarinium. We already have that content. So again, all of that is pretty we've been planning for that already, so you don't have to worry about that at all. Does that help answer your question, Birthday and MK? Good. Anything else? All right. I appreciate this. It was wonderful conducting this webinar for you all. And I wish you all the very best for your GMAT preparation. We are here to help you. Everybody at e-GMAT is invested in your success. Okay. Again, focus on building your core skills, focus on building your life skills. Take GMAT as that skill building experience for you, which is going to help you with everything beyond GMAT. Okay. All right. Bye bye, everyone, and good luck. Thank you.